he comes again off the turnover, and he slams it home! Outstanding girls basketball matchup between the team on top.
Hello and welcome to Unscripted with SkoodSports. I'm John Skoudris, getting set to bring you all the sports that fit into one video. Great episode today as we get set for the start of the NFL's regular season, now less than 48 hours away. As on Thursday, we will kick off the NFL season with the defending Super Bowl champions, my Philadelphia Eagles, taking on the Atlanta Falcons as the two defending NFC champs battle from Lincoln Financial Field as the Eagles will unveil their first ever Super Bowl championship banner. We can't wait, those of us who are from the city of brotherly love. But today, we wrap up our 2018 NFL predictions. Of course, we've gone over every regular season game the past month and taken a look at our NFL predictions. You take a look on your screen now at our final regular season standings after predicting every game. Of course, a lot of things have changed over the course of the preseason, injuries and whatnot, but we are not making any alterations to the predictions. That just wouldn't be ethical, as here on SkoodSports, ethics a little bit more important than maybe in a certain administration in D.C. But taking a look there, the playoff matchups now on your screen. In the wild card round, Kansas City taking on Houston in a rematch of the 2015 wild card playoff. Jacksonville is at Pittsburgh in a rematch of last year's divisional round playoff game. This will be the fourth time that these two teams will have played in just 2 years. In the NFC side, a couple of great matchups. New Orleans at Green Bay and Dallas at Philadelphia. We'll begin now with the first AFC battle, Kansas City against Houston. As I mentioned, this is a rematch of a battle just 3 years ago in which Kansas City absolutely demolished the Texans at Reliant Stadium in the Lone Star State. But a bunch of different faces now. Obviously, Alex Smith no longer the quarterback for Kansas City. That is Patrick Mahomes' job. I see them making the playoffs as a wild card even with the first-year starter at the helm. And Houston, of course, has Deshaun Watson now. If he can stay healthy, creates a very dynamic offense for them to go along with the weapons they have in DeAndre Hopkins, Will Fuller, and Lamar Miller, among others. Taking a look at this battle, I see a very good matchup, one that I think I'll err on the side of caution on. Both quarterbacks, very young, raw, will be playing in their first postseason games. And usually Andy Reid in playoff games doesn't lend itself to success, but Andy Reid has beaten the Houston Texans before. I actually see Kansas City coming out on top in this game. I like their experience. I like the fact that Andy Reid has been there and succeeded in the playoffs at times before. And I do like Pat Mahomes coming into this year as a dark horse candidate to really become a Pro Bowl type of player with the weapons he has and the offense that he runs. So I see Kansas City winning this one as they take care of Houston in the wild card round. Next up, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers playing host to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Of course, this is a rematch of last year's divisional round game, which Jacksonville won on the road. They'll be on the road again against Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers, and I think that Pittsburgh gets their revenge in this one. Jacksonville might not even make the playoffs now after the injuries that they've had with Marquise Lee out. They lost Allen Robinson and Allen Hurns in the offseason to free agency. They've got a lot of young, talented playmakers to go around Blake Bortles and Leonard Fournette. But if we're talking about a team in Pittsburgh who will now have seen this Jacksonville team 4 times in less than 2 years, I think that they have enough smarts on their coaching staff and experience on both offense and defense to finally come through. So I see Pittsburgh winning this wild card game at home and advancing to the divisional round in the AFC. In the NFC, we begin with the battle from Lambeau between two future Hall of Fame quarterbacks as Aaron Rodgers plays host to the New Orleans Saints and Drew Brees. This is probably the best matchup of Wild Card Weekend. Both teams potentially dark horse Super Bowl candidates in the NFC. In the end, I'm going to go with the home team in this one, A-Rod at home in the playoffs. It's been hit or miss. He has been very successful at times, but he's also been unsuccessful against the likes of Eli Manning, where he lost after a 15-1 campaign back in 2011 at home. I see New Orleans' defense just not having enough to contain Green Bay on offense. If Green Bay is healthy, especially in the backfield at this point, I think that gives them an added dimension with Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams combining to give them a pretty good young 1-2 punch at running back. And in the end, I see Green Bay winning this one in a close, high-scoring affair from Lambeau Field. And finally, wrapping up Wild Card Weekend, we have one of the great rivalries in the NFL as the Dallas Cowboys and Philadelphia Eagles will meet for the third time on the year and the first time in postseason play since 2009. In that 2009 game, Tony Romo led the Cowboys against Donovan McNabb and the Eagles. It was one of the last playoff games Andy Reid's tenure in Philadelphia, and the Eagles were absolutely dominated. Not a single player really remains on either of these two squads from that time. Jason Garrett is still is now the head coach of Dallas. He wasn't even at the time. He was their offensive coordinator. So in the end, though, it's tough for a team to win 3 times against the same team in the regular season and postseason in one campaign. I think Philadelphia is going to win this one, however, to sweep the Cowboys in 3 games in the 2018 season as the Eagles win at home in front of a raucous crowd at Lincoln Financial Field to advance to the divisional playoffs. Taking a look at the divisional round matchups on your screen, as you see there in the AFC, Pittsburgh at the Los Angeles Chargers, who of course were the 2 seed after winning the AFC West. Kansas City at the New England Patriots, the number 1 seed. In the NFC, Philadelphia goes to the 2-seeded Atlanta Falcons, who are trying to get to the Super Bowl at their home stadium to become the first team to do that. And Green Bay takes on the top-seeded Los Angeles Rams. We begin again in the AFC with Pittsburgh and Los Angeles. Well, Phillip Rivers back in the postseason for a first time in a few years since 2013, when the team ended up winning a playoff game against the Cincinnati Bengals before losing to the Denver Broncos in the divisional round. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh, after winning over Jacksonville, will be taking on the Chargers in the postseason for the first time since the 2008 season, when they won at home in the divisional round en route to winning their 6th Super Bowl title. In this one, I think that experience will lead the way. The Chargers don't have a great home field advantage, playing at the very limited, about 30,000 capacity at StubHub Center in Los Angeles. I see Pittsburgh having too much on offense. Their weapons abound, even with Le'Veon Bell holding out. He'll be back by then, and if he's not or if he's hurt, they have James Conner out of Pitt, who's a very, very good backup running back. I see the Steelers winning this one going away, and I don't think it's going to be very close, as Anthony Lynn will lose his first ever playoff game. The second AFC divisional round pits familiar foes as Andy Reid takes on Bill Belichick in the postseason. It's the first time since 2014 that these two teams will meet, The second battle of the AFC postseason sees a rematch of a 2015 divisional playoff battle between the Kansas City Chiefs and the New England Patriots. In that game, New England was able to triumph thanks in large part to the prolific ability of Tom Brady. I don't see that changing, as I see New England once again winning a postseason game at home in the divisional round and advancing to the conference championship again. Every year now since 2011, the Patriots have been in the AFC Championship, and that will continue in 2018 as they take care of Andy Reid and the Chiefs in the divisional round. On the NFC side of things, you have a couple of great matchups. We begin with Philadelphia and Atlanta. These, much like Jacksonville and Pittsburgh, these two teams will be very familiar with each other, having played each other now for the 3rd time in just over a year. Those two teams, of course, met in the divisional round last year in Philadelphia, with the Eagles winning 15-10 en route to a Super Bowl title. Atlanta will be trying to get to the Super Bowl at home, trying to be the first team to do that after the Minnesota Vikings failed to do so by losing in the conference championship a year ago. I don't think that Atlanta will succeed either. And in fact, I think that Philadelphia, playing in Atlanta for the first time since 2015, has just enough to get through the Falcons and pull off the upset. It's a minor one, as both teams went 11-5, finished 2 and 3 seeds in the NFC. But I see Philadelphia with a healthy Carson Wentz having just too much offensive firepower to be contained by Atlanta. Atlanta had trouble moving the ball all game last year against Philadelphia, and that was an Eagles team that didn't have Michael Bennett and an Eagles team that didn't have Carson Wentz. And so I see the Eagles going into Atlanta, winning this one and advancing to their 2nd straight NFC title game. And finally, wrapping up the NFC divisional playoffs, a great battle between Jared Goff and Aaron Rodgers as the Packers head to the Coliseum to take on the Rams. The Rams haven't experienced the greatest home field advantage since going to LA. Surprise, surprise. Nice job, ownership. But in the end, I see the Rams coming out on top of this one, thanks in large part to an aggressive defense that I think is going to give Rodgers some trouble behind an offensive line that really isn't all that great in Green Bay. If they can force the Packers to become one-dimensional by getting ahead, thanks in large part to the Rams' great offensive playmakers, Todd Gurley, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Brandon Cooks, I see the Packers having trouble, because once you go one-dimensional, you can sit back, and even as good as Aaron Rodgers is, I don't see him being able to pick apart the Rams' stellar defense quite as well as he may be able to pick apart, say, a New Orleans defense in the previous round. So I see the Rams coming away with this one and setting up these conference championship battles In the AFC, a rematch of the 2016, 2004, and 2001 AFC championships between Pittsburgh and New England. And in the NFC, the Philadelphia Eagles and the Los Angeles Rams. Last time these two teams played in the postseason, it was the St. Louis Rams in the NFC Championship as well, back during the 2001 season. So in fact, these are the rematches, 17 years later, but of the 2001 conference championships that were won by the Rams and the Patriots. I see that only being half prolific, as the New England Patriots will take care of business in the AFC Championship. Of course, the Patriots have had a lot of experience playing Pittsburgh and always seem to have the Steelers' number. With the exception of one or two times over the course of Tom Brady's career, he has always seemed to figure out that Pittsburgh 3-4 pass rushing zone defense. And really, that's no surprise. Brady has picked apart zone defenses his entire career, and that has continued against Pittsburgh, and it will continue in the AFC Championship, as the Patriots will become the first team since the Buffalo Bills in the early 1990s to head to 3 consecutive Super Bowls. It'll be their 4th in 5 years, and Tom Brady and company conquer a down AFC yet again by taking care of Pittsburgh in the conference championship. And finally, wrapping up our predictions here on the NFC side, the Philadelphia Eagles and the Los Angeles Rams. What a great matchup this will be. The Rams with number 1 pick in 2016, Jared Goff, against the Eagles with number 2 pick in 2016, Carson Wentz. These two teams rising meteorically from where they were just a few years ago to battle each other for NFC supremacy and a berth in Super Bowl 53. This was a tough prediction because I didn't want to seem like such a homer that I was going to have the Philadelphia Eagles go all the way again, but when I look at the rosters, when I look at the coaching staffs, when I see that Carson Wentz will be healthy by then, how can I not pick the Philadelphia Eagles against the Rams team that Carson Wentz and the Eagles beat in week 13 of last year in the game that Wentz got hurt? This will kind of be like a revenge game for Wentz and the Eagles after the Rams knocked their star quarterback out for the remainder of the season last year in the beginning of 2018. I see the Eagles coming and taking care of business in the Coliseum, as they will win a high-scoring affair, much like their battle in the regular season last year, and set up a Super Bowl rematch. The Eagles and the Patriots, Super Bowl 53, back-to-back for these two squads. This time it's Carson Wentz under center against Tom Brady, as the two teams get set to battle for a chance at another Lombardi trophy. And finally, our Super Bowl 53 prediction here on Unscripted with SkoodSports. Of course, a rematch of last year's battle between New England and Philadelphia. It'll be the first Super Bowl rematch since way back in 1992 and 93. That's right, as that was a battle between the Bills and the Cowboys, won both by the Dallas Cowboys, and history will repeat itself. The Philadelphia Eagles will win back-to-back Super Bowl championships, as they will take care of business against the New England Patriots from Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia, as they will win this one in another close battle. But in the end, I don't think New England's defense has enough to take care of business against Carson Wentz and the Eagles. Let's face it, Nick Foles put up 41 points against the Patriots defense last year, and what exactly have they done to improve? They lost Malcolm Butler. They replaced him with Jason McCourty. Dante Hightower may be back if he's even healthy by this point in the year, but let's assume he is. That's a slight upgrade to their linebacking core. But they really didn't do much else. They brought in a pass-rushing linebacker in Adrian Claiborne to replace what was James Harrison at this time last year. Slight upgrade. But in the end, I don't think that it's enough of an upgrade to overcome what is a huge upgrade for the Eagles at quarterback, with Carson Wentz in for Nick Foles. In the end, I see Philadelphia winning this one in another close, high-scoring battle, even closer than last year. The final score: the Philadelphia Eagles 34, the New England Patriots 30, and Philadelphia wins the Super Bowl for the second straight year as they celebrate another championship with what I hope is an even bigger parade down Broad Street. That'll wrap things up on our season predictions here in 2018. One more look at the final standings predicted, and one more look at the playoff bracket. The Philadelphia Eagles, despite so many doubters already, people saying Nick Foles stinks because he struggled in the preseason, disregarding that in the game that the only game he played against Cleveland, there was only 4 offensive starters and really no one along the offensive line playing. People are doubting the Eagles. They're already underdogs despite being Super Bowl champs, and I love when the Eagles are underdogs, as they'll win this one and take back-to-back Super Bowls after having not won one for 60 years, and they will be kings of the NFL in 2018. If you want to yell at me for being a homer, if you want to call me an idiot, a moron, a nitwit, as Howard Eskin used to say, definitely let me know. Comment, like, share, and subscribe at SkoodSports on Twitter, John P. Skoudras Sportscasting on Facebook, or at John Skoudras on YouTube, as we wrap things up with a bow here on the 2018 NFL predictions. Until next time, good night, good luck, and good sports. I am John Skoudras. This has been Unscripted with SkoodSports.